South Park moments that went too far. South Park has never been just a cartoon. It's a cultural demolition crew. Every episode feels like Trey Parker and Matt Stone wake up asking, who hasn't been offended yet? From bleeding statues and celebrity meltdowns to banned countries and death threats. They've crossed every line on television and kept walking. South Park didn't just push limits, it built a career out of erasing them. From the very beginning, Trey Parker and Matt Stone were never trying to make a safe cartoon. Those early cardboard cutouts weren't about simplicity, they were a disguise for chaos. Behind the crude animation was a machine built to insult, provoke, and test how far free speech could stretch before snapping. Every punchline was a political grenade, and every episode was a dare. The creators didn't care who they offended, because that was the point. In their world, offense was equality. Nobody got special treatment. Their philosophy was brutal, but fair. If you're going to laugh at one thing, you have to laugh at everything. Parker and Stone didn't believe in sacred cows, and that's what made South Park untouchable. The show went from being a weird late-night cartoon to full-blown cultural warfare. Politicians, celebrities, activists, religions, everyone was fair game. The scary part is, the show's jokes started coming true. What began as parody often turned prophetic. Episodes mocked trends or scandals, and months later, the real headlines hit. It stopped being satire and started feeling like a warning label for society. Comedy Central knew what they'd unleashed, and even they got nervous sometimes. There was one episode the network almost buried before it aired because it crossed the one line American TV rarely touches: religion. South Park wasn't just teasing a faith, it was mocking the idea that any belief should be shielded from criticism. The controversy hit before the episode even went live, and executives panicked. But Parker and Stone didn't back down. That became their signature move. When the world said don't go there, they went twice as far. And then came Trapped in the Closet, the episode that practically detonated Hollywood. South Park turned Scientology into a punchline, calling out Tom Cruise by name and locking him literally in a closet. It wasn't subtle and it wasn't safe. What followed was one of the biggest celebrity meltdowns in TV history. Cruise's camp was furious, threatening lawsuits and demanding the episode be pulled. Suddenly, the network went silent. The episode disappeared from reruns, and Chef, voiced by Isaac Hayes, quit the show. But fans started asking questions. Was Hayes really offended, or was the Church of Scientology calling the shots behind the scenes? In December 2005, South Park aired an episode called Bloody Mary that made even longtime fans wince. It showed a Virgin Mary statue in California bleeding. From, well, the area no one expected. The scene triggered instant outrage from Catholic groups around the world. The Catholic League for Religious and Civil Rights, led by Bill Donahue, called it a direct assault on the faith of millions, demanding the episode be pulled from air immediately. Even the Vatican weighed in, labeling it an affront to basic decency. What made things worse was the timing. It aired just before Christmas on December 7th, 2005, when religious sentiment was at its peak. Comedy Central tried damage control, but Trey Parker and Matt Stone weren't backing down. Parker released a letter through the show's website practically daring the church to sue them, saying, "If you don't like it, don't watch it. That's the beauty of America." The Catholic League threatened advertisers, and suddenly the network started sweating. Their compromise? Air the episode once, then bury it forever. To this day, Bloody Mary is one of the few episodes that Comedy Central has never rerun unedited. That's how you know it hit a nerve. It didn't just offend viewers, it rattled institutions. Fast forward to July 11th, 2001, and you hit another milestone in South Park's insanity. The episode, Scott Tenorman Must Die. This was the moment Eric Cartman went from a brat to a full-blown psychopath. The plot sounds like a twisted fairy tale. A 9th grader tricks Cartman into buying pubic hair for $10, and Cartman plots revenge. But this wasn't a prank war, it was psychological warfare. He manipulates events so that Scott's parents are killed and then secretly cooks them into chili, which Scott unknowingly eats. When Cartman reveals the truth, he licks the boy's tears and says, "Oh, the tears of unfathomable sadness." Viewers didn't know whether to laugh or gag. Even the writers admitted the studio audience went silent after the first laugh. Psychologists later analyzed the episode in studies on sociopathy. University of Vermont's 2014 media psychology paper cited Cartman's behavior as a textbook display of sadistic control and emotional detachment. What makes it worse is the tiny detail most people miss. After his victory, Cartman quietly cries while watching the sunset. It's not remorse, it's the satisfaction of knowing he's broken choking someone. That was the day South Park stopped being just funny and became something much darker. Then came the controversy that nobody wanted to touch: how South Park handled disabled characters. Jimmy Valmer and Timmy Birch weren't just comic relief, they were proof the show would joke about anyone. The season 8 episode Up the Down Steroid, which aired on March 24th, 2004, crossed the line for many. It showed Jimmy using steroids to win the Special Olympics. Critics instantly pounced, calling it cartoon eugenics. Disability advocacy groups accused the show of mocking real athletes with disabilities. Parents sent hate mail by the hundreds, and Comedy Central reportedly locked away the worst of it to avoid a PR disaster. Parker and Stone refused to apologize. Their stance was blunt. They said disabled people deserve to be treated equally, including in humor. If you're truly equal, you get to be made fun of too, Parker told Entertainment Weekly in 2006. To them, mockery wasn't cruelty, it was inclusion. They turned pity into punchlines, and somehow it worked. Timmy yelling "Timmy" became iconic, not insulting. The controversy only cemented their message: nothing and no one is off limits. By October 2nd, 2019, South Park's Warzone shifted east, with the episode banned in China. In just 22 minutes, they took down Hollywood's silent obedience to Chinese censorship. Randy Marsh gets arrested in China for selling weed. Stan's band sells out to get Chinese approval, and the satire slices through corporate hypocrisy. China's reaction was swift and total. The show was scrubbed from the entire Chinese internet overnight. Every episode, clip, fan page, and mention. Chinese social media platform Weibo erupted as millions of fans posted farewell messages. "We will miss you, South Park." It was a digital funeral. The next day, Trey Parker and Matt Stone dropped one of the most savage apologies in entertainment history. Their joint tweet read, "Like the NBA, we welcome the Chinese censors into our hearts. Long live the great Communist Party of China. May the autumn's sorghum harvest be bountiful. We good now, China." That mock apology went viral worldwide. Behind the humor was a shot at Hollywood giants, Disney, the NBA, and others, who stayed quiet about censorship to protect their markets. South Park said what billion-dollar corporations couldn't, and it cost them an entire country's viewership. But the show wasn't done roasting the West either. In season 19, 2015, the writers introduced PC Principle, the walking embodiment of cancel culture, before the term even hit mainstream headlines. Suddenly, South Park High had a muscular enforcer policing speech, privilege, and gender pronouns. It was a direct jab at America's rising outrage culture. A year later, in season 20, the show tied political correctness to social media mobs, predicting the internet purity wars that exploded years later. Fans didn't realize they were the target too. Parker said in a 2017 Rolling Stone interview, "It's funny how many people agree with the joke, but don't get that it's about them." Then there's Cartman as Hitler, first appearing in season 1, episode 16, Pink Eye, in 1997, wearing a Nazi uniform and leading a group chant. It was absurd, shocking, and instantly controversial. Yet 2 decades later, fans were still dressing as Cartman Hitler at conventions. The line between satire and endorsement blurred, and that's what Parker and Stone wanted. Their goal wasn't to teach, it was to provoke. And provoke they did, long before social media weaponized outrage. Finally, on September 30th, 2020, South Park aired the pandemic special. While the world was locked down and terrified, the show went straight for the jugular. It mocked anti-mask protests, vaccine panic, and political division, all while making Randy Marsh the accidental villain spreading COVID. The episode drew 2.3 million viewers on Comedy Central, the highest since 2016, but split audiences clean in half. Half called it brave, the other half called it tone deaf. Then came the twist. After years of calling their only black kid Token, the writers suddenly revealed his name had always been Tolkien. It was an obvious fake apology, mocking the trend of forced political correctness. Twitter exploded, accusing the show of gaslighting fans. But the creators didn't respond. They never do. While other comedies were getting canceled for crossing invisible lines, South Park was thriving in chaos, writing jokes out of the very outrage it created. The world had become a South Park episode, and for once, nobody could tell the difference.